Well, good evening, and welcome. And want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. Today is the 19th of the 6th, 2025. And for those who are joining me on YouTube, thank you so much. For those joining me on Facebook, and I made a sort of diversion tonight, and I've gone over to LinkedIn. For those who are joining me on LinkedIn tonight, LinkedIn, that's another new kid on the block. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're there on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, just comment and just say hi, I'm here, and where you're watching from. And please feel free to share this discussion tonight. Is my and also on TikTok, definitely on TikTok with the overflow. Thank you so much for TikTok, Bannon, One Boss, Sandy J, Pauline. Thank you so much. Remember to like and share, and as I say, tap up the screen. Tap up the screen. I'm hoping to be joined by Reverend Gary Graham at some point later today, but this is a very well, every week there is something big, ladies and gentlemen. Every day there's something big in the UK, and and one of the things that if I set the stage is that we begin with like two stories tonight that are shaping the world in profound and unsettling ways. Uh, in the United Kingdom, the government is launching a national inquiry into grooming gangs and group-based child sexual exploitation, a move described as a national reset by Baroness Louis Casey. The inquiry is set to be completed within 3 years, aimed to hold institutions accountable for past and present failures. It's going to be a bombshell in the 3 years from now. Compel evidence from local organizations and ensure that justice is delivered for victims who are being failed by the system. Baroness Casey urges everyone involved to embrace scrutiny and transformation, reminding us that while data on ethnicity in these cases is complex and complete and incomplete, the focus must remain on protecting children and increasing prosecutions and investigations. The government response includes reopening hundreds of previously dropped cases and introducing new legislation to clear the criminal record of victims who were unjustly criminalized as children. Secondly, meanwhile, across the globe, and everyone is aware of this, the Middle East stands on a knife edge as a conflict between Iran and Israel escalates into alarming new heights. Over the past weeks, deadly attacks have claimed hundreds of civilian lives and left thousands injured on both sides. With no sign of de escalation in sight, world leaders, including the UK Prime Minister, are scrambling to manage the crisis, evacuating embassy families and convening emergency meetings while the United States contemplates direct military action. International organizations are pleading for restraint, warning that further escalation could have devastating consequences for civilians and risk triggering a broader catastrophe. In this tense moment, the world watches and waits, hoping for a way forward that prioritizes peace and the protection of innocent lives. Now, while we're also talking about that, there's also some sort of development in regards to the Windrush. The Windrush Day, a few persons have sent me images of themselves at number 10 Downing Street. Um, as Windrush Day approaches, marking the 77th anniversary of the HMP Empire, HMT Empire Windrush, and celebrating the profound contributions of Caribbean migrants and their descendants to the UK. The appointment of Reverend Clive Foster as the first Windrush Commissioner signals a renewed commitment to justice and accountability. Reverend Foster, a senior pastor in Nottingham and the son of Jamaican migrants, bring both lived experience and deep community leadership into this vital role. He has pledged to act independently, ensuring that the voices and needs of the Windrush generations remain central to the ongoing reforms and to deliver tangible improvements, particularly in the operation of the Windrush status and compensation schemes, so that those affected can finally see and feel justice in their everyday lives. So yeah, so definitely those are some of the big things about big news. There's so many things which are happening as well in the world today, but we just only can focus on a few. And also, let me just sort of reiterate for those who are aware that tomorrow night at 6:30, there's going to be the Victoria Mutual Financial Forum, ladies and gentlemen. The Victoria Forum, Victoria Mutual Financial Forum. Stronger roots, greater returns. And let me just do the picture image. Stronger roots, greater returns financial forum tailored to the Jamaican diaspora. And that's going to be at Lewisham Town Hall Civic Suite, Catford, in my hometown. 6:30 to 8 p.m. Oh, it's to 9 p.m. My apologies. Go on, fix my glasses. Yeah. 6:30 to 9 p.m. Come meet the president and CEO, Courtney Campbell, group executive and special guest. Build your wealth where your story begins. And I've done a few interviews and discussion on this particular issue. A very good one. So do come in and of course, if persons want to attend and don't know how, what they can do, they can actually uh, send an email to, yep, right here. Send an email to Miss Donna Brown at myvmgroup.com, donna.brown at myvmgroup.com, and you can telephone as well, uh, 0207 Thank you. Like up the screen, tap up the screen, and I'm going to welcome shortly Mr. Gary Graham as we proceed with discussion, because actually we were talking about this last week, believe it or not. We are talking about Gary was actually like he was seeing in the future. He was seeing in the future as to what's going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Gary Graham after this. Gary Graham, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Well, it's great to be with the great Silbo Sidia and
I,
his SSTV.
I want to second that without a doubt, because as I had on my profile the biggest independent talk show, and I said, should I put that? And the person, no, leave it right there. Don't change it. Don't change it. You have it there from 2015. Leave it. See in the future. See. So Gary, like who I saw, you saw something last week while we are talking. Um, when we briefly touch base on first of all the weather. What's the weather like? It's 30 degrees, man. What's it
Well,
like?
it's great. It's great to be in the sunny isles of the UK. Don't have to go to the Caribbean for that. Not this
You have to
time.
go to exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like the sunshine or whatever, just say I love the sun, because they say in Britain sometimes people complain, oh, it's so hot, it is so rainy. No, people sometimes don't tend to just appreciate it. But anyway, Gary, the Middle East, which is my opening there, big things are happening down that side there. Uh, are we on the brink, or or it's like a smoke screen? Because it's like we have been here before in some respect as well. You know, is it a smoke screen, or is it like looking towards something big?
I don't think it's a smoke screen. I think
Mm,
I mean what is happening there. It's real. It's actually. I know it's actually taking place. I know you're just using descriptive
yeah.
language.
Mm,
Um, no, it's real. It's real. I think Iran. You see,
mm,
I don't think we're really being told or given the whole picture. And this is just me. In back in the day, with our parents back up in country there, they would say
mm,
that back in they feel it in their waters that something is not right or whatever. You know,
mm.
I feel they're not really giving us the whole picture.
The whole picture.
I don't think we're really being told exactly what's going on. I believe, and I don't call myself a prophet, I'm not one I don't want that title or anything like that. Because we did say last week that
Yes.
within 12 to 24 hours that
Mm,
we would see Israel strike Iran. And
mm,
within a couple of hours, really, that same night, I would have thought, if not
yes.
early the following morning, very early, Israel did strike, and I was not surprised by that because Israel, for a few years, Benjamin Netanyahu has always said that that Iran will never have a nuclear bomb, and
Yes.
if they ever moved a step towards that, then Israel would strike them. So I don't think that the world or the region or anything like that should have been shocked by that. But I believe anyway that the regime
Mm.
may not go as fast as Syria, but I believe it's on shaky ground.
You're
I
talking. You're talking the Iranian.
The Iranian government, yes, I think the regime that they it is said that they are theocratic because of the government in which they have, which is they believe it's God, um, God centered, which of course is Muslim, isn't it? It's Islamic.
Yes. 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 I
Um,
think. Sorry. Go on. Go on. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so yeah, so I do believe that the Islamic clerics that rule Iran
Mm.
are on shaky ground. I believe that it will be toppled. Not to say Israel will go in and do anything, but I believe that they are going in for regime change because the Prime Minister for Israel has stated that they want the citizens of Iran, they want the people of Iran to make that change. They want to make that opportunity for them to do it, not for Israel to do it. They
Yeah.
don't want to go in. It's not for That's not what they want. They want a change of government, of leadership, but they want the Iranians there who are really oppressed, to do that.
It is a very toxic subject, I would say, because I know I approached a couple of persons about even joining tonight, and they said, uh, you know, they don't want to go down that route because their views are so will be placing themselves in a situation where they could be cancelled because of the whole issue in regards to many persons feel like they can't oppose publicly what Israel is doing because they're saying the level of proportionality as to how things started. How well it's a very it's a tricky one when you say how things started because one would say October the 7th where things started, and then one would say things have started years before, and one could say based on the actions from October 7th how proportional it is, and how Iran has been brought into this whole thing whereby it is not Israel and Hamas, but it is now Israel or Israel and in the Palestinian, but Israel and Iran. So it's like it's changing the game over totally.
Yeah, well, I mean, my friend, I'm of the opinion that that there will be change there at some stage. Don't know how long it's going to be, but because not too long ago, I don't know if any of your um, listeners have gotten this, but I have heard that
Yes,
that Iran has gone dark in the sense that internet services have been cut. So
yes.
something is going on. There is something going on that they don't want the rest of the world to know about.
Well,
Um,
mm,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, go on.
Well, one of the things that Donald Trump has said is that I know where you are, Mr. Ayatollah, whatever, but we're keeping you safe. You know, I know you are, and there's a question about should America get involved into this war, this escalation, and as for the UK, and we have talked about this all a while, is the UK about to get dragged into Iran-Israel conflict? We spoke about, is the UK going to get dragged into Ukraine and Russia, boots on the ground, because that is why they said building up the spending review and increase spending on defense, because the world is now a very getting on a very unsafe ground, you know,
Well, I mean, I think once America gets involved,
without a doubt. Yeah. Mm.
the 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 British military always seems to get involved. I mean, look at Yemen. When America went in to bomb Yemen because of what they would
Yes.
do to Israel, England was there, or the British military was there.
Mm.
When America got it, well, America is already involved in Ukraine. I mean, they may not say they've got boots on the ground there, but boots are on the ground there. And if the boots are on the ground there for the US, then the UK is there also. So
Yes.
if the US was to go into Iran at whatever state, whatever the military hardware is, you're going to find UK boots or UK planes in the skies. It's
Mm.
so it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Now, what about like sometimes comments like on TikTok, like America is always nosy into problems that don't concern them. Is this a situation like that where America, or is it that the world is looking for someone, a country, some safe pair of hands whereby, because we always talk about this, we always talk about that there's a lack of very strong leadership in the world today. We spoke about the Henry Kissinger, we spoke about Reagan and those period, those time men of respect, even though there's question signs about the history of certain things. But is America right to get into something? Is England right to get into something now? Ladies and gentlemen, I put that out there. Is England right to get into it? Is USA right to get into it? Or just leave Iran and Israel alone to bomb up themselves? Sorry,
No,
BOMB. Yeah.
no. I mean, I think um, people are expecting the US to get involved.
Yes.
They've always. Look. I mean, our memories short. In look what happened when Trump just stepped back a little from Europe as far as NATO is
Yes.
concerned, and everybody was in a tizzy. Everybody went dizzy because the US is not providing that leadership.
Mm.
So for me, since 1945, when World War II ended,
Yes.
the 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 United States has always been the one that people look to and look to for leadership. That goes without saying.
Yes.
Even though Trump has said America first, he's an isolationist. I think that's what you call it. But the world is not ready for the US to think about themselves and to step back. No, they're looking for the US to be the one to bring that stability.
And
Now,
strong,
yes,
some high level of strong leadership. Is that what you're saying? Yes.
so this world is looking for a leader right now. Okay, Trump is not the ideal one that people probably are looking for. If it was somebody else, other, okay, put it like this: if, what, if, and I know it can't happen again, but
Yes.
let's say if we had someone like a Ronald Reagan or someone like a RF JFK of
Yes.
that stature that came onto the scene right now
Mm.
and did and provided that leadership, then the world will be fine with that. The world, let's say the world will be okay with that. I'm talking about somebody who has a different mindset than what Trump has, but was
Yes.
strong in leadership.
Mm.
Then the world will be okay because it's an American president that is not an isolationist, but someone that is looking on the world on a whole to bring everybody together. That's what the world is looking for.
But do we think that Donald Trump is an isolationist, or is putting a sort of balance as to the national aspect of in the UK, but he still has a keen eye on the world because he's the one that keeps saying we need to stop this. I mean, when was what recently Pakistan and India, and I know someone from India sent to me that it was Donald Trump that actually intervened there and sort of quiet that bit down. So therefore, while at the same time he's very nationalistic outlook, he still have that international perspective. When he talks about NATO, when he talks about Ukraine, and he said, I don't want war," and he's actually even said a while ago to the American people that he doesn't want to pull America into some long dragged out war. That's what Trump is actually saying, and that's why I say Trump will decide if the US gets directly
Are you there
involved.
still?
Yes, can you hear me? You're not hearing me?
Yeah, I keep losing pictures. I
You
don't
lo-
know what's going on.
you're losing pictures.
Yeah, I keep every now and again. I don't see you and I don't see me, so I don't know if that's a signal from your watchers around.
Well, actually, I'm seeing another screen. I haven't seen anything dropped
Okay.
off. So I don't know if the Lord is trying to get through to you and shutting off everything in order to give us some
I
sort of
don't know.
update. Maybe you want to get your direct.
Probably. You never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
But just finishing that bit there. Hi, Junior. How are you? Somebody said Trump is two-faced. Donald Trump will decide if the USA gets directly involved in the Iran-Israel conflict within the next 2 weeks, as he believes there's a substantial chance of negotiations. So he's speaking about negotiation, but he said something about 2 weeks. Do we want this thing to drag into 2 weeks? Really? Yeah.
You see what don't listen to what Trump says.
Don't listen.
Don't listen to what he says to some extent.
Yeah.
Look at what he does. Because
Yes.
I think you see in my mind, Trump is brilliant. I think he's a very smart um, operator. I think he's very smart because sometimes what he says and what he does is two different things. He says things to gauge what people will do. You know, I think he says things in order to get the reaction, to get some kind of reaction, but then he does something different. No, no,
Yeah.
he's saying 2 weeks, but he knows to some extent that he needs to act within a very, he's
Short
got
time.
a small window of opportunity in which he needs to act. And he will make the decision. He's one that he's not afraid to make decisions, but he says things to gauge the reaction, then he does it. And I think,
Yeah.
look what
Mm.
happened when Israel attacked Iran. Now, he knew that Israel was going to attack. But what did he say? He said he was in negotiation with Iran. Iran did not expect an attack from Israel because it was
Mm.
during that time that United States, his office, he wasn't there actually, but his negotiators were negotiating with Iran. Iran did not know what was going on. So what
Mm.
he was saying was quite different to what he knew what was going to happen. And so I believe still
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's the same process now. He may be saying 2 weeks, and even on the plane, if you remember that clip they keep playing on the news, I think the question more or less was asked: Are you going to attack? Are you going to help Israel? And he was saying more or less, "Well, I don't know. They don't know what I'm going to do. I may or I may not."
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
That
So
that yeah, go on.
So
Sorry.
he's
Mm.
not one. Remember, Trump is not a career politician. So
Mm.
how other presidents, how other prime mayors or or politicians may answer, you see, they have not read the Trump. They have not they it's as if they don't want to understand Trump. He says something, listen to what he says, one, but two, watch what he does. And I think that he's caught he's caught the political or the career politicians the world over
Yeah.
on the blind side, because what he says is sometimes quite different to what he does, and that's where people get caught out.
It is interesting to what you said because I do recall Donald Trump saying, I don't think we should be giving a blow by blow discussion or update as to what America will do. He said, what about the element of surprise? And like what you said there now, I don't think um, Trump should really be saying what he's going to do. I don't think the UK should be saying what they're going to do as well when it comes on to sorting things out. But Trump keeps saying he wants to go into negotiation. Do people trust? Because they're saying lots of people are having a go at Trump, the man who is actually seeking peace, you know, and not seeking war, because they're actually thinking that Trump is going to be the person that is pushing for war and blow them to smithereens. But the world respect, and these guys in those areas respect a strong leader. And I think whether we like it or not, Trump has come across based on actions as a strong leader. And we can say that there's a tone which has been changed. And I guess he has matured a bit more since his last time in power.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's learned a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
um, the Trump that we're hearing now, the Trump that we're seeing, the Trump that's on the world stage today, is not
Mm,
the Trump that it was 80 years back.
mm,
It's a different man. He has known, he has learned on the job, just like many of us. I mean,
mm,
if you know if we were given a chance in whatever field we wanted to go into, but we didn't have experience, given a chance, we learn on the job. Any
mm,
job that we apply for, it doesn't matter what it is. There are
mm,
some things that we'll bring into it, fine, but there's something that we're going to learn as we do the job. And
mm,
so that is Trump. Trump has learned um, the, the political language. He
mm,
may not use it as others use it, but he's using what he has learned.
mm,
If you notice, his cabinet has not had the turmoil as it did 80 years back. It was like almost every month or 2 or 3 months he was changing Secretary of States like it was hot cake.
okay. Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
see, but these men that are there now, whether they have the experience of government or not, most have. But if you notice, he's sticking with them. He's staying with them. They're staying with him, and
Yes.
they have learned to speak his language. And so Trump, listen, don't listen half the time of what he says. Watch what
Mm,
he does.
mm,
And I do believe that within a very short period of time, and I won't, I don't think it's going to be 2 weeks. If it's 2 weeks, then that's fine, but I don't think he's going to wait 2 weeks. He's going to make the decision to go in with Israel, and he's going to hit Iran hard. When Iran is hit, and they know that he means business, because when the US hits, Iran is not going to have any time to come back or to hit other countries. Because remember, Khamenei has said that if the US or the
mm,
UK or anybody that helps Israel, they're
mm,
going to target them.
mm,
So that is why it has been said, not a lot, but it has been said that there are certain embassies within the Middle East and certain countries that the U.S. staff has been reduced.
yes.
So
Yes.
obviously, there is going to be action. There's going
Yes.
to be action, and there may be a reaction, but they're
Well.
minimizing. They're going to
Mm,
minimize on the fallout. And Iran, I heard somebody the other day. It wasn't on the news. It was on some podcast that I usually listen to, and they said, and I do believe this, that there are sleeper cells around the world,
yes.
in the US, in Europe, as well as in the UK, that they just need the signal. Once they get the signal, there's going to be mayhem, I believe, in certain areas of the world. But the country of Iran is not going to be the same, because I believe that I do believe that Trump will make his decision to go in.
Well, one of the things that earlier the Iran deputy foreign minister had said, it would cause hell in the region if the U.S. were to get involved. And I think they were saying something tonight is going to be, well, it was last night actually. Last night was going to be something that the world will never see before. It reminded me of Comical Ali. Comical Ali, you remember that guy from Iran? And he said, "We are
Right.
getting the infidels. They're coming at us. No, we are defeating them left, right, and center." And while he's standing there saying that, you can see
American time.
American soldiers are coming behind him, and he said, so it is like it's a bit similar to this bit whereby we should get them, and yeah. So it is a really interesting bit, and I hope that the world is be attentive to it. But I do also know that when the Iranian actually did a bomb which exploded at a hospital, and Netanyahu said, they're bombing hospitals. We are not bombing. And I said, okay, right, because we know that a lot of atrocities has happened since October 8th, October 7th. We know
In
that lots
Gaza,
of
that is anyway.
yeah, yeah, we know that, of course, but Israel defense is that it is used as a way, these areas were used as a way to cover, weapons and things like that. But it was very interesting to hear what Netanyahu said. They're bombing the hospital. um, but the question that many people say, especially the UK, people are going about their business and they're saying, you know, the UK should not get involved with this. But I guess your view is that the UK have no choice if America move in.
I
Because
mean,
Lammy,
the the UK is going to get involved.
yeah,
The UK will get involved. Um,
mm,
how and when, that's that's another thing for another time. But I don't think, on if the US doesn't get involved, then the UK won't. They'll be on
yes,
standby, and
yes.
they are on standby
If
because
I read, yeah,
planes have been moved into the
mm.
area.
If I read something here, it says it is not just because the relationship between Britain and Israel have recently soured after the UK joined other Western nations in sanctioning two Israelite cabinet ministers for inciting violence against Palestinians in the West Bank.
Right.
It is also because Israel has clearly decided that now was a window of opportunity to act militarily against Iran's suspect nuclear program. Time was for taking over. And funnily, I've been watching some Netanyahu videos. He's been speaking about this for years when he had black hair as a young boy, you know. But the UK still has a diplomatic role to play together with its European allies who helped drafted the 2015 JCPOA Iran nuclear deal that introduced intrusive UN inspections of Iran facilities in exchange for sanction relief until Donald Trump pulled the US out of the deal in 2018. David Lammy, your good friend, the foreign secretary, is in Washington on Thursday meeting his US counterpart, and the UK will be joining France and Germany in talks with Iran in Geneva on Friday. The UK also has a military and strategic assets in the Middle East and Indian Ocean. Yep. And I think the UK want to use that same place there to do
That's
some. The US
that's
want to,
Diego Garcia. Yeah?
yeah, yeah. They want to use that place there. So it's a very very interesting development, and people are watching what's happening there. You know?
I think you see we are really at a very pivotal point in human history. We have never, the earth, the world, mankind has never ever been in at this place before, and it's something that everybody's looking to see. We're
Mm,
all wondering what on earth is going to happen here. I just want to say again, I mean, it's not. This is not a. It, um, Even though we're both Christian, it is not necessarily a Christian program. It's not a
yes.
religious program. So let me just make that quite clear. Don't want to make
Mm,
it into one either. But I think that when it comes to what the scriptures have told us, There's certain things that's going to take place. There's certain things that's going to happen, and it does tell us that and point us into the area that the Middle East is going to be a very sensitive area, very sensitive
Mm.
place, you
Yes.
know, between um, the Middle East and Israel.
Yes.
So we have to look into that area. We have to keep our eyes and our attention there, because God's word will not return unto him void, but it's going to accomplish it. We're going to see things come to pass that the scriptures are telling us quite well,
Mm.
and we just have to be prepared for it. Really,
Yes. Yes. Well, okay. Well, we'll watch your space and see this. As I mean, as you said earlier, last week, you said things are going to happen, and it is happening. You said Donald Trump 2 weeks. Don't watch his word, but watch his action. You say it's going to happen before that. I guess we watch your word, Gary. At the same time, any other key word I must say?
no, let's just look at that. Don't listen to what he says. Watch
Yes.
what he does.
Yeah.
Because if we listen to what he says, then we're going to expect him
Mm,
to do what he says he's going to do.
mm.
But he doesn't always necessarily do what he says. He does
I
something
yes.
differently before.
Yes.
So we're
I saw.
always caught
Mm.
out. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
saw before we go on to the grooming gangs. I saw a point someone mentioned earlier, and I just saw a comment that came up on TikTok, whereby saying which and why some countries dictate who is to have nuclear weapons or not. And someone else said Americans have 1,770 nuclear weapons for their protection, yet expect no one else to have their own. Who determines? Who gives the who is the boss of this world that can determine that Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, different countries can create their own nuclear weapons for protection, Gary? Don't have to go into that now, but there's a cliffhanger to leave. Right? You know what I'm trying to say? Gary, you there, yeah? Are you frozen? Oh, Gary, are you there? Are you frozen?
I don't know. Again, just lost picture. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that you're frozen there a bit. I don't know if you heard the question which I asked. So I'm gonna leave that question not to answer. It was about who determines who have nuclear weapons or not. And as someone flagged up on TikTok saying the Americans have 1,770 nuclear weapons for their protection, yet expects no one else to have their own. Why? Who determined that? Who is the boss of this world that determined that? You know?
Well, that is something that you know is interesting. That's a
Mm,
very interesting question there. But
yes.
then we'll
So
just have to see what happens.
yes, so let's leave that one there. Thank you for those joining me on TikTok. Please tap up the screen and to share and yes, let's share this live. I think I'll be popping on TikTok after all being well as well. Um, another U-turn by the government, Gary. Another U-turn by the government, and the question I want us to ask yourself is, what's wrong with a U-turn if a U-turn is for the betterness or better of things? You know the the Barnes Casey report, which came out, talks about a national reset. The inquiry to be completed within 3 years. The whole institution account for past and present failures. Compel evidence from local organization. Barnes Casey urges everyone involved to embrace scrutiny and transformation. A U-turn. Another U-turn was made by the government. The first U-turn of major U-turn was the fuel allowances for the elderly, which they took away. Now they brought it back to say that, well, we have now balanced our books a bit better. We have got rid of the 20 billion black hole and the 14 years of craziness of the Conservative Party. So we have now got the money back. Now this major U-turn now. What's your thoughts on this? And ladies and gentlemen, for those who are on uh, TikTok, what's your talk? What if you're in the UK? What's your thoughts on the U-turn by the government, and what's wrong with a U-turn if a U-turn is in the best interest of the nation.
I don't know. The you see, the, what makes it bad for the Labour Party to be making
Yeah.
these U-turns is that shortly before they make the U-turn, they're saying that they're not making any U-turn and that they're
Yes.
sticking to their guns, which of course, you know, they've
That's been
made.
that's been Margaret Thatcher. This lady is not for turning.
Well, I
Yeah.
think when when it comes to it, it's best they didn't say anything at all. It's best they didn't say anything at all, because really, if you think about it, and I really don't have the stats for it,
Mm.
but you could probably say they could probably say, or it could be said that they've made two U-turns. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. But then since they've started, don't you think they've made a lot more U-turns than what is stated that they've made?
Well, I think the major one is, well, the second major one is these two: the fuel allowances and the U-turn on grooming gangs inquiry. Because one of the things about the grooming gangs is that they didn't want to touch the particular toxic area. The toxic thing is about they don't want to say Pakistan nationals, because they don't want to get into a sort of race issue,
Okay.
because it is felt that a lot of their supporters is of that irk. I'm trying to say, and they don't want to rock that particular boat. But what are you looking for? The interest of your voters or the interest of those persons who have been groomed and have been raped? Let's listen to what Keir Starmer said when let me see if I can find this bit here. Grooming gang. Keir Starmer defends, and I'm gonna play this bit here. Let me see if it can come up.
It's why I wanted to ask you about it, about what your sense is as the underlying reason why collectively as a society there was that sense of a head in the sand, perhaps a well-meaning but very misplaced political correctness, or what do you put your finger on why this went on for so long?
I would put my finger on a number of things already. When I was chief prosecutor, I uncovered the fact that good faith assumptions were being made about the reliability of young girls as victims. And that's why I changed all of the guidelines within the prosecution system, because I could see that mistakes were being made, assumptions were being made. I was very clear to my team at the time that ethnicity would not come in and affect the decisions that we made as independent prosecutors. But now, 15 years later, we've been able to do things like mandatory reporting, something I called
Huge
for in
societal failure, isn't it?
2013, fell on deaf ears under the
Mm.
last government. We're now putting that in place.
Okay.
But this inquiry, in direct answer to your question, must go where the evidence takes it. And I'll be absolutely clear about that. And if that's questions of ethnicity, that's questions of the role of public officials, if it's questions of assumptions that were made that shouldn't have been made, all of that
Okay.
needs to be uncovered. No stone will be left unturned here.
It's
Trouble
Well, this is Keir Starmer's area of profession. I mean, he was the former director of public prosecution, and he says follow the evidence, and I think with the advent of Barnes cases report now, it has drilled down the need for such a massive inquiry. Now, I'm just going to juxtapose this with the what is happening in Jamaica, and it's not similar, but sort of same principle. When there's an issue about the statutory declaration of the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, and the issue was that the Integrity Commission could not come to a decision. So it's not as if to say the prime minister is charged. He's not charged. They could not come to a decision to clear it, to say yes or no. So what they have done, they have made a referral to the Financial Investigating Division for them to do more investigation into the whole thing. So that's where it's at now. And that's why there's issues about a gentleman called Dennis Chung who is there. So in this particular case here with the grooming issue and what they were saying, they didn't want it. There's no need for it. With the advent of Barnes cases report now, it is pointing that they need to go a bit step further Gary. That is what I believe Keir Starmer is saying. That is what I believe the government is saying. That is not what the conservative is saying. The conservative is saying that you guys didn't want to do that because it's going to wreck your voting and mess up the thing. Because one of the key factor is the whole aspect of Pakistan men grooming.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and it's those sort of areas where people don't want to say, don't want to rock the boat. People are afraid of talking things. It's just like with what's happening with Israel. If somebody said if they came on, they are going to be classified as anti-Semitic because people don't want to have that constructive, critical thinking. At the same time, people can't really share some of their views as much as possible because narratives tend to just remember the years ago, no, not years ago, but just recent days with COVID, we had shows, we had discussions, people sharing their views to say why they don't believe in the vaccine, honestly saying it. But that wasn't the popular narrative. That wasn't the official narrative. So people were cancelled and shut down, Gary, at that time.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you know. So it is very interesting as to this grooming inquiry which is happening now, and and as I say, it is high time now for the families to somewhat get their sort of day.
I mean,
Mm.
I don't know, my brother. I do feel that the the prime minister has placed himself in a very tight situation. So
Yes.
he's placed himself in a tight situation. Um, it's up to him now to get himself out of it.
Mm.
You know, I've been looking at I've I've been looking at Rainer and all of that, and I don't know if she's still not very happy with what is going on. Really, you know.
Well, to be honest with you, I was watching her um, yesterday, and I was saying to myself, I know this is going to sound horrible. It is better we look at her and watch her with her facial remarks than listen to her.
Well, I've never really heard her. You know.
I
I
wasn't,
mean,
I wasn't,
probably
I
was
wasn't, I
also
wasn't, I wasn't really impressed with her at Prime Minister's Question Time. I must say, I wasn't really impressed with her at Prime Minister's Question Time. But anyhow, but that's just my view regarding the Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah.
yeah.
There's also another thing, Gary. Guess what? The interest rates have been held. The big um should I'm not going to say the big belly man because Andrew, is it Andrew the governor Andrew Bailey.
Uh,
I think he's losing some weight. I think he's been doing some walking. Maybe I need to find out which park he's walking in. I think he has lost some weight.
you, you may need some company.
Yeah, he's a company to find out where he walks and do some walk and talk motivation with him, because that's it. They said the Bank of England has held interest rates at 4.25%, and you know, and it has met the expectation held by markets and experts this morning. But guess what? They're actually saying they're being cautious because they're watching what's happening in the world. Watching
Mm,
what's happening. Say the governor says interest rate remain on a gradual downward path, but cautions the world is highly unpredictable. You know, growth in the UK remains somewhat sluggish, putting pressure on policymakers to cut rates to boost investment and growth. So it's a good downward trend and must be welcome, and a benefit for those who are mortgage holders and everything like that. Yeah, yeah.
well, let's hope. I mean, I was listening to Trump when he was disappointed with what his guys did. Powell, the Fed,
Yes, I think I
um,
remember that. Yes.
you know, he wasn't very happy that
Mm.
that that they held. I think it's 4.3 also. I don't know if it's around the same percentage mark that
Uh,
that the Federal Reserve has held. Their you know their rates at also, but Trump wanted a
mm,
cut. He wanted a
mm,
cut. So we
Yes,
just have to
yes,
see what happens, really.
yes. And that's great. That's great. Finally, before we go, the Windrush. It's Windrush Day, the 22nd of June. 22nd of June is Windrush Day.
Right.
Right. And there's been some developments whereby Reverend Clive Foster is now the commissioner. Do you know that gentleman? Do you know him, Gary?
No, I've heard, but I don't know him. I mean, what's information on him?
Yeah. Well, he's now the new commissioner, and he's a newly appointed first Windrush commissioner, a role created to deliver justice for Windrush commissioner, sorry, Windrush Candle, and to ensure their voice remains central to the ongoing reforms. I think I have a picture of him here. Let me just put up his picture here. Um, Mr. Clive Foster. Where is it? There, I got his picture here. There he is.
Okay.
Yeah. Here is Mr. Clive Foster there. Um,
Clive Foster.
yes.
Where's he from?
Um, he's from Nottingham, senior pastor in Nottingham and son of Jamaican migrants. He brings both lived experience and deep community leadership to this vital role. He has pledged to act independently, ensuring that the voices and needs of the Windrush generation remain central to ongoing reforms
You know
and to
what?
deliver.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm,
I've met him, I'm sure I've met him. When
yes.
Desmond Jado, you know him.
Yes. Yes.
He came to Leeds, and I met with him when he came to Leeds. So
Yes.
yes, I think I have met him. I think I have met him. Um,
Yes.
what happened to the previous chair?
The previous who?
The previous chair.
I think this is the first time commissioner. I believe this is the first time there's a commissioner. I think there's been chairs of Windrush bit, but I think this is the first commissioner to sort of carry
Okay.
um things on further. Let me
But
see.
had it really worked though? Had it really worked still?
Well. According to my guest a couple of weeks ago, and I had Mr. Anthony Brown, and the question was asked, and there you can see his picture, and the show was on the 7th of June. People can go and watch it on YouTube and can listen to it on the podcast. The question was asked, is the Windrush scandal over? And he was setting out that it is still happening in a way, you know, because the Windrush scheme is like not working very effectively in a way. And I believe that is why you got this new person which is coming on to sort of set the stage and sort of carry it on as well. Yesterday, or is it yesterday or today? There were a few people at number 10 Downing Street, um, Jackie McKenzie, and a few other persons there, talking about the Windrush and the government acknowledging it. At Prime Minister's question time yesterday, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner also mentioned it as well and say never should it happen again. It was on the both parties' watch as well. So I guess we watch the space and to see how it unfolds. And I guess with Mr. Clive Foster, senior pastor at the Pilgrim Church in Nottingham, son of parents who migrated to the UK from Jamaica, you know. And what they said, Foster is also the founder of the Nottingham Windrush Support Forum and vice chair of the Windrush National Organization. That is what I believe Desmond Jado is, isn't it? Chair of
Yeah.
the Windrush National Organization. He said, as commissioner, he will provide independent oversight of the government's effort to address the impact of the scandal, work to improve the Windrush status and compensation schemes, and ensure that the lessons of the past are truly learned. One of the things in regards to the Windrush Act, which they're actually talking about, and I mentioned it to Mr. Anthony Brown, is that in order for these acts and all these things to come to fruition, the the people will need to come in and to support, like in a scheme of letter writing campaign as well. And I say that is something, they need to do to sort of, you know entice the public to sort of be a part of the process, because a lot of people believe they're not affected by Windrush, but other nations, other nationals are also using the Windrush scheme as a way to sort out themselves, Gary. So it is not over at this
Mm.
point, you know, as well. And I think there are some church services which are going to be happening as well. Yeah, good. So anyway, it's 10 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight. 1 hour just looking at some of the top news, as well. There's lots of things which are happening around the world. In Jamaica, they are waiting now for the election to be called. It's like that sounds like a knife edge, uh, you know, as well. We're watching this space, waiting for Brogard to call the election. And as I say, when the prime minister called the election, then the opposition leader will sound the trumpet.
Yeah.
You know, when the prime minister call election, the opposition leader will sound the trumpet. That is how they're talking about that, Gary. So, listen, without further ado, any last word?
Well, we just have to prepare ourselves for whatever is happening in the world today.
Mm,
I just want to say again, it's not a religious program, but because I'm a
mm,
by art and by profession, I guess I celebrate for it.
yes, and remember tomorrow night, Victoria Mutual in Catford. Feel free to attend the road show, in Catford at 6:30 a.m. 6:30 p.m. not a.m. Okay. God bless you. Peace out. Thank you for those joining on LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok as well. Thank you. Bye bye.